back, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. And I am so excited about today's episode because we are diving into a topic that often gets overlooked, but it plays a crucial role in our overall well being: silicon. We'll explore its impact on longevity, vitality, and its incredible benefits for healthy skin, hair, and nails. And joining us today is Bonnie D'Arcangelo, a clinical herbalist, holistic health consultant, and certified aromatherapist with a Master of Science in Herbal Medicine. She is also the co founder of Aetherbal and founder of the Veusebeia Phytotherapy Center. Now, Bonnie has dedicated her career to blending science with herbal medicine, and she has created advanced delivery systems for medicine herbs, helping people live healthier, pain free lives. So, let's quickly jump onto the conversation, listeners. And Bonnie, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor having you with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, Bonnie, I know you have spent years studying the role of minerals in holistic health. So, let's start with the basics. What exactly is silicon, and why it is so essential for health?
So, yeah, like you said earlier, there is a lot of misconceptions about silicon and the word itself, but we can think of it as synonymous with silica. So,
Mm.
silica is kind of the elemental form, and of course, that's sand, and but also quartz crystal. But silica or silicon is one of the third most abundant trace minerals in the human body. And it's found in even greater quantities when we're babies and children, as it is essential for bone formation and the formation of connective tissue, such as cartilage and elastin and collagen, which is part of
Mhm.
what makes it so important for healthy hair and skin. And especially in the hair, you will find large quantities of silicon because that's kind of where one of the places where the body excretes silicon is into the hair. And so it helps to keep it healthy and vibrant and strong. And so there's a lot of research going into silicon on many, many different levels. But one of the most fascinating ones is its association with cardiovascular health and its ability to help reduce the risk of arteriosclerosis and heart disease. And that is because the heart is surrounded by large amounts of elastin and collagen, and it's necessary in order to maintain the strength and the health of the cardiovascular system, that you have a healthy amount of silicon in the diet. And as we see depletion of nutrients and minerals in our soil through farming practices, part of that depletion is the amount of silicon that is available in the soil as well. And there's more research that is connecting a correlation between what are called the blue zones, which are areas around the world where they are finding people are living longer and healthier
Mm.
lives. People are living into their hundreds and are still healthy and active. And one commonality that they have found in these blue zones is that their water sources are containing a high amount of silicon. And so their body is able to repair damage to the cartilage, the elastin, and those connective tissues quicker. And then they're also getting ample amounts of silicon. So it is helping to keep their bones healthy and strong. And it's a supplement that people don't really consider taking in their diet and is usually not included in a multivitamin. But it is something that I really been working to bring awareness to people about the benefits for their health and adding just very, very small amounts because again, it's a trace element in the body, so you don't need large quantities of it. So small amounts of it can go a long way to helping the body to repair damage to your tissues.
So, it's basically a micronutrient for our body.
Yes.
Mm.
It is. It is. It's a micronutrient that eh, has a macro impact on the
Mhm.
body. So
Mhm.
just like we need small trace amounts of some metals like copper in the
Mhm.
body, when those sources are depleted, they can have a big impact on the overall health of a person, even if we're talking about just small micrograms that are needed. But the problem is a lot of people are not getting adequate amounts of silicon from their food or their water sources,
Mhm.
especially if you live in a place where you are getting public water sources where the water has been treated. If you're drinking treated water, you're not getting any silicon in your water source. And silicon is only found in our diet in leafy green vegetables that are grown in healthy organic soil. And so, just those two things right there take away how much people are getting because most people are not getting a good source of water, and a lot of people are not getting a lot of healthy, leafy, dark green vegetables in their diet either.
Mm. Mm. Absolute sense. And and that's why, I have heard that silicon is sometimes called the forgotten mineral because we often talk about macronutrients like magnesium or zinc. But why do you think, Bonnie, that silicon doesn't get the same attention as other minerals or micronutrients like these?
Well, part of the issue with silicon is that most of the forms that it occurs in nature is in silica, it's not water soluble. If we think about sand, if you put sand in water, it's going to remain sand for most all of
Yeah.
eternity, right? If it's being agitated, that the sand particles are going to get smaller and smaller. And so it's not readily absorbable by the body. But if we think of like our
Mhm.
Earth as a whole, the largest portion of the Earth's crust, about 95% of it, is made up of silica, which we most commonly recognize as quartz crystal. But this is the same element because we're talking about silica in several different forms. And so a lot of my research is working to create a water soluble form of silicon that is readily absorbable by the body. And so this is known as orthosilicic acid because the silicon dioxide, which is the form, which is people sometimes get afraid of those words like dioxide, but that's just the chemical name of silica or quartz crystal. It's called silicon dioxide. And so that goes through a series of processes that changes the pH so that it becomes alkaline and makes
Mhm.
it in a water soluble form, so that it can be taken internally or externally to deliver what we call my work a silicon plasma hydrate. So a lot of people know that water comes in three different states: a liquid, a solid, or gaseous. But there's actually a fourth phase of water called plasma, and even the water in our human body is not in a liquid state. About 60% of the water in your body is converted into a plasma state, which is a gel-like substance. And this is really important because plasma, which is we're surrounded by plasma. 99% of the known physical universe is made up of plasma. And what is really important is that plasma conducts electromagnetic energy. So it's able to send signals. And so the water that naturally occurs in our body in this plasma state is highly charged. And this is how the body communicates. And so when we have a lack of good electromagnetic communication in the body, this is where we can start to see like our meridians or signals of the nervous system start to become dysregulated. And so our work is in researching this way to deliver silicon in a
Mhm.
plasma state that mimics the body's own fluids, which helps to repair that electroconductivity of the body. So this is monitoring pain signals that are being sent throughout the body or misalignments energetically throughout the body. Then it's also delivering this micronutrient that is needed for the cells to repair. And so that's why a lot of our work focuses on pain management because when we're dealing with pain, we're dealing with several things. We're dealing with tissue damage that needs to be repaired, or we're also dealing with a depletion of like the synovial fluids or the cartilage with age through wear and tear. But the other aspect of pain is those electromagnetic conductive signals that are taking place throughout the body. And so a lot of times we think about, you know, when we are injured, we think about the physical repair of the body. But there is this, energetic aspect of the body that is those electrical magnetic signals. And so we need to repair both the physical and the body's ability to repair its signal pathways. And so that's why silicon becomes a really important healer for the body because it has the potential
Mhm.
to not only heal the physical, but to heal the energetic aspects of the body as well.
Fascinating. And I guess that's the reason that, silicon plays such an important role in longevity also because when we age, the nerve functioning kind of it starts getting weaker and we see like, um, conditions like dementia or something like that. And I think with the whole topical application which you mentioned and the energetic part, I think it definitely helps in increasing the longevity.
It does, and there's currently research being done because you mentioned dementia. There's
Mhm.
research being done with Alzheimer's disease. So, also one of the causes of Alzheimer's disease is correlated with a buildup of aluminum in the body. And the interesting thing about silica, if we look at it like just in perspective of out in the earth and the formation of rocks,
Mhm.
silica is responsible for the formation of rocks. If you look at any type of rock formation on the earth, there is a presence of silica. And part of that is because silica r- readily and easily bonds with other minerals, particularly heavy metals. And so
Mhm.
part of the research being done with Alzheimer's disease is that silica in the body is attracted to aluminum and it forms a bond with the aluminum called aluminosilicate. And aluminosilicate is benign. It does not damage the body the same way that the free elemental aluminum does in the body. And so there's research on the oral use of orthosilicic acid, which is the water soluble form of silicon, and its ability to bond with aluminum and safely remove it out of the body. And so this is an area of growing interest because in many different ways, the potential of an element like silicon to bond to heavy metal toxins within the body and to safely remove them and excrete them out of the body is really vital because there's a lot of research about chelation therapy for different types of toxins, and chelation therapy can be very toxic and can be damaging to the body if it is not done properly. And so when you have the potential for an element like silica that readily in nature bonds with heavy metals and forms a tight structure that is benign, it's very important to continue focusing on that research potential because we are constantly inundated, especially in industrial areas and in cities, with
Mhm.
heavy metal toxins.
Mhm.
So the potential of silica for a healing medicine in so many different ways is just beginning to be looked at by researchers. And I suspect in the future that we will hear a lot more about silicon, and not just for Silicon Valley, for the production of computer chips and AI, which is another interesting subject matter. We could have a whole 30
Yeah.
minute episode on the use of silicon in AI and how it helps with that. I'd like to use the word consciousness that we are seeing,
Mhm.
that the AI are starting to become conscious. And part of that has to do with the use of those silica crystals in those chips. And that is that electromagnetic conduction of energy, which is very fascinating
Oh, yeah,
other day.
yeah. I mean, it's such a wonder mineral. I mean, uh, it finds its application in all the aspects of our lives. So that's really, really interesting. I think that itself is such a wonderful thing to get attracted and, kind of obsessed with silicon. So, Bonnie, if we talk about Etherbal products, so what exactly is the science? You explained a bit, but how exactly Aetherbal's formula? I mean, what I understand, it kind of mimics the body's plasma. So how exactly does it work?
So yeah, so starting off, herbal medicine, particularly essential oils, are typically diluted in a base oil or a carrier oil, as they can be too strong on the skin. And so in our formulas, we don't have any base oils diluting our essential oils. We use our orthosilicic acid as a way to disperse and dilute the essential oils. So it creates a very purposeful topical, particularly, that you don't have any ingredients that have no purpose. So the orthosilicic acid being the base carrier that is delivering that macronutrient silicon to help to repair and rebuild all of those tissues. And then we include very specific herbs that are well studied for their different properties. So we have an entire line with different topicals that are focused to different, you could say, uh, people who are suffering from different pains and ailments. But some of the other things that are really important, so we actually have a patent pending formula that we use in every single one of our topicals, and included in that is monoatomic gold. And so this is another 30-minute conversation you could have about monoatomic gold and the research that's being done with this element. So essentially, our monoatomic gold comes from a meteoric impact, and so it's cleaned out of a seabed as a rock dust particle, and then is purified. And there is research being done for monoatomic gold being able to repair the myelin sheath, so the coating that protects the nerves, and in nerve conduction properties. And so a lot of repair and energy, again, back to the pain signals of the body, that's happening in the nervous system. And so we have had some success with people who have had amputations. So after a person, say they lose their leg in an amputation, they have what's called phantom pains. And this is where the brain still recognizes that that limb is there, even though it's been removed. And the people who have this, they suffer greatly. It's an itch that you can't scratch, as it's been described to me, because the leg is not there and they desperately want to itch it to get rid of this nerve pain sensation. And so we have used our topicals on people who have had amputations with a very high success rate of them in just a few minutes, their phantom leg pain going away. And part of the reason for this is that inclusion of that monoatomic gold, because it has an effect on that energetic structure of the body. So the combination of the orthosilicic acid with the monoatomic gold is really working on an energetic level to repair those electromagnetic signals in the body. And that's why it works. And so there's a lot of research behind the monoatomic gold, which is sometimes referred to as ORMUS or
Mhm.
orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. And that one is something that is getting a lot of spotlight in today's popular supplements because of its research into those repairs of those energetic imbalances of the body. And so with our topicals at Etherbal, we really focus on putting things inside of our topicals that have a high level of energetic resonance and repair. So everything is well studied and very intentional. And we use a lot of ancient healers in our formulas. So one of our most popular formulas is called our Three Kings formula.
Okay.
And it includes our monoatomic gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And so the combination of gold, frankincense, and myrrh has a long history of use as healing modalities in all religions and all countries. You find the use of frankincense and myrrh in pretty much every healing temple, religious site you can go throughout history and you will find them everywhere. And there's a reason why those combinations are working so well together and the synergy between them helps to support repairing the body on a physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, every single plane. Those 3 elements together are very, very powerful, and so every one of our topicals contains those 3 ancient healers because the wisdom behind them is very profound.
Mm. That is so, so rich. I mean, there's history, there is the cultural relevance, and I mean, that's brilliant, fascinating, and thank you so much, Bonnie, for explaining that. Um, and I guess some people believe that silicone is just for beauty benefits, but it really, really plays a major role in overall longevity, as I said. So, before we wrap up, Bonnie, if our listeners would like to explore more about Etherbal, connect with you to understand the better benefits of silicone and how they can apply it in their daily dietary approach or in their dietary practices, overall practices, how they can do that.
Yeah, so you can visit our website at etherbal.com to learn more about our products. You can hear lots of talks and lectures from me on podcasts across the globe where I really dive into the science and the medicine behind them. And one of the podcasts I really love that I was on with Dr. Thomas Cowan, because Dr. Cowan is known for his work and his research and his innovation in natural medicine. And so we had a lovely chat about the benefits of orthosilicic acid. And so there's lots of information out there. And for those who are interested in getting more silicon in their diet, you always want to look for it in the form of orthosilicic acid.
Mhm.
There are many manufacturers of orthosilicic acid, some better than others, um, but that depends on their processes and how they're making it, but that is available as both an internal and an external supplement. At Etherbal, I'm a big fan of our topical applications because, when you're taking supplements internally, it has to be metabolized by the body,
Yeah.
and so you lose a large percentage. A lot of supplements, you're only actually getting somewhere between 50 to 30% of that supplement is actually absorbed by the body. But the absorption rate for topical application is upwards of 60 to 70% because our
Oh,
skin is the largest organ of the
organ of
body
body. Yeah.
and is highly permeable. So
Mm.
people, when you're talking about taking care of your body, your skin is your largest organ, and so it's vitally important that we take care of our skin. is a first entrance into our body, especially for toxins. And we have to think about the things that we are applying when we're applying perfumes and lotions that contain a lot of chemicals. You can cause a significant amount of damage to the body by applying them to your skin.
Lovely, lovely. That's such an important point you mentioned about the application, the topical application. And we'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes for our listeners. And Bonnie, thank you so much for bringing this out to all of us, and for helping us being aware, remembering us, remembering that, so many gifts have been given to us by the nature, and it's high time that we should acknowledge, address, be aware, and start using them, embrace them in our physical as well as mental being. So thank you so much for this enlightening conversation.
Yes, you're welcome. And I'm always happy to share. The more we can return back to nature and the gifts that she has given to us for our own healing, the more we're going to find the earth will heal and that we will heal. And I always like to say, as a closing, I'd like to think of the earth, as our mother. When your mother gives you a gift, or if you're sick and she comes to take care of you, you wouldn't refuse that gift from your mother. And so we need to think of the gifts that the earth gives us the same way. We should not refuse the gifts that our mother has given us to heal ourselves.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Beautiful, beautiful. That was such an amazing closing. Thank you so much, Bonnie. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into the Mindful Living. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you connected with the beauty of silicone, if you connected with Bonnie's insights, just refer to the show notes to connect with her and check out our herbal products. And also subscribe to us, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who could benefit from natural health insights. So, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Until next time, take care and be well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.